Hello, everybody, and welcome to this very special webinar since today we're going to be talking about the new Beekast interface. I'm gonna give you a couple minutes just to let everyone say hi and make sure that you can all access the chat, that you can hear me, you can see me. So yeah, make sure to tell us if there are any difficulties connecting or hearing me or anything at all. I'm going to start by presenting myself. So, my name is Clara Planson. I am the sales marketing manager here at Beekast, and I'm looking forward to walking you through all of the changes surrounding our interface, but also your user experience. So, before we get started, I wanted to kind of invite you to join in on a little Beekast session that I've prepared for us today. So there are many ways that you can join the Beecast session. First of all, you can scan the QR code with your smartphone. So I'm sharing with you right now on the screen a QR code. So don't hesitate, you can scan that and it'll redirect you to the Beecast session that we'll be using today. You can also go to beecast.live and enter the code that is right here. So it is the code 105111. And finally, you can also click on the link that my colleague Hugo will be sharing with you in the chat on Livestorm. So I will be joined here today by Hugo, my amazing colleague on the marketing team, who's going to be present during the entire webinar on the chat. So make sure, to connect with us, send us some messages on the chat, really interact with us because we're here to answer your questions and basically just, show you the new interface and really get a little bit of an interaction going. I'm going to let everyone join us. I see that people are coming in one at a time. No problem. Take your time. For those of you who have just joined us, welcome. My name is Clara Planson. I am the sales marketing manager here at Beekast. I'd love to know if everyone can hear me. So if anyone can write in the chat that you guys can hear me, or you can even give a little thumbs up or anything like that, just so I know that everyone is good to go. Can hear you fine. Thank you so much, Mark. Okay, great. So let me just check if some of you have joined us on the Beecast session, and you have, so that's great. Okay, perfect. For anyone who hasn't joined yet, you have the link in the chat on Livestorm, so make sure to click on that. And we're going to be able to get started. So, first things first, I prepared for you a quick little activity just to see who here has already used Beecast and who may be discovering Beecast today. So, I'm going to go ahead and launch the activity. And yeah, just tell me, okay, great. So I see that some of you have used it once or twice. Ooh, a lot of clients here, maybe a lot of regular users, which is great. I use it all the time. And I'm not seeing any new faces, people who may have not already used Beecast ever. So that's pretty interesting. Okay, great. Good to know. Thank you to everyone who participated. And now we're going to go ahead and talk about the new Beecast interface. So, to start off, I wanted to share with you a bit of background on why we decided to change the user interface. It's really important to know that when you're creating a product like Beecast, your users are your most important source of information, inspiration, and feedback. The reason why we love doing these webinars and why we reach out to so many of our clients and users is because you are the experts on how we can make your experience better. So over time, we've kind of gathered all of your feedback surrounding your experience on Bcast. And at the same time, on a more internal level, we were facing this challenge where making changes and adding features to our platform was becoming a little difficult because there were limits to the technology. And so that's why it felt like the right time to make this major change, because not only were you asking us for new features and evolutions, but our team understood that in order to make all of this happen, we had to dive into the actual tech side of things in order to make sure that we could keep evolving and moving forward and really providing you with the best user experience possible. And so that's why we're so happy to be sharing with you this new interface today because it really is a labor of love and hard work. Our product and tech team did such an amazing job, and I'm really looking forward to helping you discover Beekast's new interface. I think the main ideas that you can take away from this webinar are that, first of all, this new interface is going to make it easier for us to create and add new features and activities and templates for you. But it's also going to make Beecast the easiest collaborative platform on the market today. And we'll talk more about this along the way, but you're going to see how familiar the platform feels now. So now, without much further ado, let's dive deeper and look at our new Beecast interface. To really show you what it looks like today, I'm going to go ahead and stop sharing the this screen right here, and I'm going to start by sharing with you a whole other screen, which is basically the builder interface. So that is the interface that when you are creating a session, it is the Beecast interface that you are used to as a facilitator or owner of a Beecast session. So let me do that now. All right, here we go. Okay, so welcome to Beecast's new interface. The first thing that you can see now is that you have this little banner at the top of your screen, the little blue banner that invites you to switch over to the new interface or go back to the old interface. So some of you may already have done this, but for those of you who haven't yet, please note that this banner will be up for a little while. So you have time to kind of switch and go back and forth on the new interface or the old interface, depending on what you want to do. So don't panic. You will be able to kind of return to the old version if you're not ready to use the new one. For those of you who have already switched, I think it's a great idea because this is the way that you're going to be able to start using Beecast and really get familiar with the new interface. So here we are now. As you can see, the first thing that we wanted to make very obvious was that Beecast's new interface looks a lot like the presentation mode that you are used to in other tools. So we wanted your user experience to be smoother. And in order to do this, we drew inspiration from your everyday presentation tools like PowerPoint or Google Slides. And that's why when you go to a Beecast session, you can see that the slides are in a column on the left part of your screen. So right here. This makes it extremely easy now because to kind of navigate slides, it looks a lot like PowerPoint. So here I am on the left side and I have my slides all available. And if I want to add a slide, I simply click on this button and just like before, you have all of your activities made available to you. So I can create my activities. I can also access the inspiration. So this is my templates right here. Oh, let me go back. There we go. So here you have just some ready-made templates. So if you want to kind of save time, you can go ahead and click here and just find templates that match your goals and your needs. And it'll upload an activity that's just ready to go for you and your team. And yeah, it just works like it always has, but in a much more fluent, in a much smoother way than before. Let me just take a pause and make sure that everyone is following along. Okay, great. I can see that some of you are talking in the chat, which is good to know. Okay, so moving on. The second thing that I wanted to show you was that now some of you may remember that in order to organize slides before, you had this kind of list where you could drag and drop the slides to put them in a different order. We decided to rethink the organize feature of Beecast. So now when I click on organized, it really looks like a grid, and this makes it really easy for you to reorganize the order of your slides. You can group certain slides together in order to move them or even delete them. So let me show you how this works exactly. Here, when I am on my presentation, I can click right here at the bottom on the left column here on organize. And when I click on organize, I'm going to have a completely different view from anything that we ever did before. So Here, as you can see, this is what I'm talking about when I say that it's kind of a grid format, because a lot like PowerPoint, it makes it really easy to take an activity, take a slide, sorry, and kind of move it around. You can push it back, push it forward. You can select multiple slides and then delete them. You can select every slide. It's just a lot easier to navigate your presentation thanks to this new organize view. Click on exit, and here I am back again on my presentation. Now, the next major evolution that I want to show you in this webinar are the three views that are now available to you. So first of all, you have the presentation view, which is the one that I've been sharing this whole time. So it's basically the builder view, as we like to call it. And this is where you can create your slides, your activities, you can edit activities, and you can also use all of Beekast's more interactive features, which we'll talk about a little bit after. But here I am in the presentation view. Now, if I wanted to look at results and kind of study participation data, I can now go in this category right here at the center top of my screen, which is the results. Now, when I'm looking at results, this is where I can see my participation data, as I was saying. I can also see activities, the results of every type of activity played during my session. And our goal here was really to give you a summary of your session in one space to make it easier to review the results of your activities and your overall presentation. This is also the place where you can now download reports. So right here, you're going to be able to generate a Word report or an Excel report. So this is where it is now. If you've been looking for it, you can find it in the results section of the Beekast presentation. And then finally, when we go to settings right here, as you can see, this is where you can edit the name of your presentation, decide on a different connection mode. So this is where, some people, you decide if some people can access your session via an email address or an anonymous profile. Basically, anything related to the settings of your session, you can find here. So let me just show you a little bit more. Here I have the title. This tells me that I am currently in a facilitator mode, which means that I decide when the slides change and I have full control over my presentation. This is also where I can check on the safety of my session. So for example, if I want to add a password so that I'm sure that some people cannot access my session just by having the link. Here, currently, we are in an avatar mode. This is what I call more of an anonymous profile. But then again, if all of your team have an Beecast email or account, they can just access Beecast with their email. And then you also have the username, which is a little bit like the avatar, which means that people are not immediately connected as their Beecast account, but they can just join the session and enter a name, for example. And so finally, this is also the space where you're going to be able to add some integrations and features. For example, you can connect your Google Drive to your Beecast session. You can also connect some video conferences. So if I want to add Jitsi or Zoom to my Beecast session, I can. And that way I don't have to go on the Zoom app. I can directly have it in my Beecast session right away. Okay, so let me go back right here to my Beecast session. And now I want to talk to you a little bit about the final really big evolution that we can see in the new interface, and that is the features. So the features now are basically all available on the right side of your screen in a new column. And you can find the discussion board, the tabs which allow you to share resources, the list of participants, but also video conferencing tools you may have activated, and more. And some of you may remember how the actions and decisions feature was kind of mixed in with the discussion board. Well, now those are really two separate features that you can easily access. So for example, here I have my activities, so I can see really easily activities that are in progress, So there are none right now because I haven't launched any new activities, but I can also check very quickly which activities are done. So these are activities that people have participated in and I have closed. I can also go to messages. This is the discussion board, now called messages, and I can easily moderate exchanges. People can send a message very easily. So I can say, "Hi, everyone," and post right here. There we go. I now have the actions and decisions feature. So once again, on the right side, this column, you're going to be able to find every type of more interactive feature Beecast has to offer. And the actions and decisions feature is a really important feature that we love to talk about. And it's basically the feature that's going to help you build action plans directly in Beecast. So to do this, all you have to do now is go to this little section right here on actions, and then you can click on make an action or decision. And here is where you decide on whether if you're planning an action or if you're making a decision. Here, let's plan an action. So I'm gonna just give it a title. Here you can add details. So for example, just give people details, whoops, concerning the action. I can assign it to someone on my team, and then I can choose when this action must be finished. So, for example, let's say Friday, we'll give ourselves the week. Just click on the type of priority, where we're at in progress, and confirm. And once this is confirmed, I can find it here. We've also established a pretty easy way to see where the actions were to the decisions. So if I were to take away actions and just keep decisions, I wouldn't have anything. But if I were just to look at actions, they'd all be here. So very simple. Anyone on your team can add actions and decisions along the way. And at the end of your session, at the end of your meeting, for example, it's super easy. You have the ability to send yourself an action plan. So by clicking on this, as you can see, it's generating a document that will be sent to my email address automatically, and then I can just go ahead and share it with the rest of my team. And everyone can do this. It's super simple. And now all of your action and decisions are in one place. So it just makes everything a lot smoother, a lot more seamless. And that's why it was so important for us to give you this new interface as well. It's because it just makes it easier to navigate, whether you're the facilitator or the participant on a BCAS session. And then finally, I'm going to show you just the tabs because I've prepared a couple resources for you. So don't hesitate checking out some of these resources right here. You can download this presentation, the BCAS presentation. You can also sign up to some of our training sessions. So these are the BCAS basics. A member of our support team will be happy to guide you through the basics of Beecast and really help you get started. And finally, just follow us on social media. You have a couple links, our LinkedIn, our YouTube, just to kind of stay in touch with us and really get to know everything that's going on in Beecast at the moment. Let me take a short break and just look if there are any questions along the way. Okay, looking good. Thanks, Mark. Yeah, we're really happy about how this came out, how the interface looks today. It just feels like such a big step forward for everyone, BCAS, but also our users, of course. And now to finish off, I wanted to share with you a final slide where I can show you what it looks like on a smartphone. So Beecast's new interface, as you can see on the smartphone, for the facilitator, the new smartphone view makes it a lot easier to create Beecast sessions on your phone and also access the different features and tools. For example, download results, but also change some of the settings. So this is on the right side of your screen. As you can see, you have kind of four sections here at the bottom. And this makes it so much simpler because for those of you who may not remember what the old interface looked like on a smartphone, it could get a little messy. It wasn't always easy to find the feature or the slide that you wanted to use. Creating sessions on your smartphone could be a little tricky as well. So here we've just really made everything easier. And we've done this by making you four big kind of sections. The first one is the slide navigation. This is where you can kind of, well, navigate your presentation, change slides, etc. Then you have your tools. So basically, this is kind of the equivalent to the right side column, basically your interactive features. And then you have your results where you can download reports. And finally, your settings. So once again, you can kind of find those two other views made available to you. And then in participant mode on the left side of your screen, you can see that on this phone, the participant view is just really, really simple as well. You only have two kind of views possible. You have the slide navigation where you can follow along to activities and slides being displayed. And then you have an entire space dedicated to your interactive features. So once again, if I want to join in on the discussion board, I can click on messages. If I want to access some resources that the owner of the session may have shared with me, I can click on tabs. And as a participant, you just can't get lost on a Beekast session. It's very easy now to just navigate and follow along on your phone. All right. So I think we zoomed through that. It is 5:21. I hope that I gave you a lot of information. I know that it is a lot of information to intake. So please make sure to ask questions if you're wondering about anything in particular. If you have any questions regarding the new interface and Bcast and what's next, go ahead and talk to us on the chat. And basically, I've just shared with you the major changes and evolutions made on our interface. I'm going to take a couple seconds to look at the chat on Livestorm, see if you have any questions that maybe I haven't answered yet. And while I do this, I would love to know what you think of our new interface. So to do this, I have a quick little word cloud that I'm going to launch. So please go ahead and share with me what you think of the new Beecast interface. I would love to know your thoughts. Okay, Mark, I'm reading your question. Is it still browse and scroll, or do you have a go-to slide number? They are not all sequential. Okay, so Mark, if I understand your question correctly, it's on a browser session when you have large numbers of slides in your sessions. Is it still a browse and scroll, or do you have a go-to slide number? So at the time, it is, I believe, still browse and scroll. What I highly recommend though is to use this organize feature, because now on the organize you can see where you are. For example, I can see that the word cloud is the one being projected, so that's where I am at the moment. And thanks to this little tag, it's really easy to say, okay, here I am. And for example, I want to take us all, sorry for those answering in the word cloud, I'll be right back, but let's say that I want to take us all to slide 6. I can just click here and we will all be on slide 6. I'm going to stay on the word cloud because I don't want to kick anybody out of the activity. But yes, if I wanted to navigate it, it's, I think, a lot easier to do so. Thank you, Laura. I'm happy that you love the webinars, happy that we can allow you to get a better vision of VCast and answer some questions. Christine, is it possible to assign decisions and actions individually or only collectively? No, you can definitely assign decisions and actions individually. Let me show you very quickly. So let me just exit here. All right. Love this word cloud. Thank you so much for participating. So for example, when I go back in actions, Christine, as you can see, I'm making an action. And of course, as you know, it's not going to work perfectly because right now we are in the kind of anonymous mode with the little personas. So, but let's imagine that we were in a little team meeting where everyone is identified. I could click here and I could just assign it to one person. And then I would have a little list that appears saying, well, this task was assigned to Clara. And then, of course, if I want to say, well, I want to assign it to 3 people out of 7, I can just select the 3 people in my meeting, assign it to them, and they will get a notification saying, hey, you have this action or that you have to do by next Friday, and they will see it as a group. They will each be notified. But I can have complete control over if it's one person or three, four, five people. All right. Okay, great. Happy to know that I could answer all of this. If this is all good for you, I want to thank you all for joining me today. I was really happy to share with you Beekast's new interface. If you have any questions that you may come up with afterwards, please make sure to contact us. You for any clients that may be with us today, and I see a couple. You can contact your Beekast reference. So anyone you have technically the email address. And then if you have any questions, you can also contact our support team. We'll be happy to answer any questions. I have only used session in browser mode. How do people use the smartphone in sessions? So to access a Bcast session with a smartphone, and correct me if I am not answering your question completely, but I think this is what you're asking. If someone wants to go on Bcast with their phone, what they have to do is, for example, either get the link. So you can share the link, they can go on their phone, click on the link, and it'll open the new interface automatically. You can also directly give them the QR code. Scanning a QR code can be very simple on a phone, and they will access the new interface on their phone. They won't have to switch technically, or it'll be offered to them as well with the little banner at the top part of their screen. And you will get a replay. Exactly. Thank you, Hugo, for answering that one. A replay will be made available to you. It'll be on our website and our YouTube page. So make sure also to go and subscribe to our YouTube channel if you want to see more. And I'm going to finish it off here. Thank you, everyone, for being here, for participating. And I look forward to hearing more about your thoughts on the Bcast interface. We'll have a lot of communication coming out in the following weeks. So thank you, everyone. And I hope you have a really pleasant rest of the day or end of the day, depending on where you are in the world. Thank you. Have a lovely day. Goodbye.